this.
It is. It
Many times
is.
many times evangelicals and other non-Catholic Christians respond by saying, well, see, here's a father saying something that sounds like it could be happening in an evangelical church. Well, thanks be to God. The evangelicals still say many, many things that we all agree on. Some things that are true and important, they say better than we're saying right now. I'll grant them that, okay? Because fashions change, things, to say otherwise would mean that the disunity of the church doesn't matter. It does matter. They have gifts, and we're not getting along just fine without them, any more than they're getting along just fine without us. Okay, but the whole point here, though, is that when just because a father says something that sounds like an evangelical, we go, great, thanks be to God. What do you do when the same writer says something horrible about Mary or the Pope or something like that, as they do? St. Augustine, says, I guess I'm Southern. St. Augustine is this town in Florida, isn't it? Augustine is the received Catholic pronunciation. You can take the evangelicalism out of the hillbilly, but you can't take the hillbilly out of evangelical, or some version of that, right? He says all sorts of things they love. Augustine says all sorts of things that evangelicals, especially Calvinists, love. But what about all the horrible stuff he says? I submit everything I've written to the judgment of the Bishop of Rome. Anything I say that he doesn't accept, you can disregard. When he says these kinds of things, they just, one way I've expressed this is to people. I've challenged people in evangelical churches, not trying to make anybody look dumb. I was there myself for a long time, and I wasn't dumb. I don't think I was. What I do is, can you name me one? Okay, you found evangelical sounding stuff in the fathers. Can you name me one church father that you would accept as a teacher in your church today? In other words, for that you have to find me a father who says only the evangelical stuff and never says any Catholic stuff. Okay? Can you find me such a person? And if not, what does that say about your church? That you can't find one leader in all of antiquity that you would allow to teach a Sunday school class in your church. And that in fact is the case. There's many evangelical sounding fathers. Most of the fathers sound evangelical pretty often. But what they also do is they add all kinds of crazy stuff about purgatory and the saints, or devotions to saints and Mary, et cetera, which would disqualify a teacher from teaching in an evangelical church. No matter how good he is on many subjects, if he starts talking about praying to Mary, you're going to turn him out. Okay? So if you can't, name me one that you would accept, and if you can't, what does that say about your church? And that's important. I don't say that to fling something in your face. It's something to think about. It's a thought experiment.